What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my Week 10 Top 25. As always, I'll be ranking the top 25 teams and talking about who just missed the cut. But before we get into it, subscribe to the channel to be entered into our giveaway at 500 subscribers. Dropping from the rankings, Providence, Clemson. 2 bad weeks for both these teams. Providence, only 1 loss, but just found themselves falling out. And then Clemson, 2 losses in ACC play. After a team that showed some promise is falling back down to earth here. And we'll have to see this week if they can put it back together and possibly get back into the top 25. The others receiving votes, this is where it gets tricky. I think any of these teams could have made the rankings. Dayton, Cincinnati, Utah State, especially with 1 loss and a big win last week. Creighton and Wake Forest, all these teams are right there on the cusp. And for me, it was pretty much a coin flip on who I was keeping in at 25 through 21, just because all these teams are very close right now. In the 25 through 21, nobody's fallen here from the rankings from previous. The only team moving up from the 25 to 21 is San Diego State. They move up 2 spots after 2 wins in the Mountain West. And then you have James Madison at 22, losing their first game this year, going to 14-1. And I'm dropping them 10 spots because it was on the road, lost by 10. It wasn't really a close game. But they can rebound this week with 2 home games, get back to possibly 16-1, and really rebound well. Texas, tough loss to start the Big 12 against Texas Tech at home. You lose by 11, not a good sign there. And now you go into Cincinnati, which you just saw in the others receiving votes, pretty close to joining the rankings. They could probably join if they beat Texas. And then at West Virginia, should beat them, but it is early in the Big 12 and upsets do happen. 24, FAU. This team's fallen as well a lot because they lost to Charlotte by 2 on the road. And I know they lost at the 2-second mark with 2 free throws, and then they missed a 3 to possibly win the game. But a loss is a loss, and for these non-Power 5 schools, it is tough for them to keep their footing. And then Ole Miss suffers their first loss very bad to Tennessee on the road, and I wanted to take them out, but it was their first loss of the year. SEC play on the road at Tennessee, a top 5 team who's clicking on all cylinders right now. It's tough to take that team out, but if they lose another at home this week against Florida and Vanderbilt, they're more than likely going to find themselves out of the top 25. Now 16 through 20, I have Wisconsin and Auburn joining the rankings this week after it was much overdue. Last week I didn't think they were deserving, but they showed me by each winning 2 games and getting really a good footing in conference play to start, especially Auburn. The first game on the road, you beat Arkansas, who's been good these last few years, by 32 points. That's a good start for them. They get rewarded with 2 home games this week. Wisconsin, they have 2 games this week. Just forgot to put them, as you can see there, my only mistake for this video. And then I have BYU falling from 14 to 17 with their loss to Cincinnati. That's why they're getting that nod in the others receiving votes. But they have a tough schedule in the Big 12 with at Baylor and at UCF. And then you have Nevada and Gonzaga, both teams that I had ranked last week, both moving up here. And they are primed to win this week against Air Force Boise State. Nevada should take care of business. And then Gonzaga at Santa Clara. One of the easiest conferences in college basketball for Gonzaga, as they should manhandle Santa Clara. 15 through 11, this is where it gets kind of murky. I think you can put a lot of these teams in interchangeable places because it's all pretty close this early in the season. Marquette falls out of my top 10 after their 3-point loss to Seton Hall on the road. I felt like I could have kept them in the top 10, but just a few teams jumped them. Illinois, big win over Northwestern, who's pretty good this year, but then go on the road and lose to Purdue, drop them 1 spot, and they have a tough game against Michigan State tomorrow, Tuesday night, and then Maryland's been looking pretty good this year, right around the middle of the Big Ten. Memphis, close wins this week, 2 3-point wins, but they're moving up 6 spots because they just keep finding ways to win. Good teams do that. Doesn't matter how pretty it is, a win is a win this early in the season. Baylor, same for them, 2 wins, their first conference game on the road at Oklahoma State. They do that in OT. And then Colorado State, they dropped 2 spots after their loss to Utah State on the road, that's why they're in the others receiving votes category. And now they go on the road to face Boise State, and they really need a rebound there. Top 10, Duke is the one that is entering the top 10 after Marquette's fallout. Then after that, you're going to see some similar teams in similar spots. Oklahoma, Arizona move up because of the fallout of Marquette. And then UNC, Kentucky stay put after some good wins for both of these programs. Kentucky just absolutely wiped the floor with Florida on the road to start conference play. North Carolina, 2 good road wins for them in ACC play, and they get another road game against NC State, which should be a good game. And then Syracuse at home, that's going to be on TV, so make sure you tune into that one. Arizona, Oklahoma took care of their business last week. Not really close games, and to me, the Arizona-Colorado game really showed that this Colorado team was kind of a fluke to start the season. They were ranked pretty high and getting up there in the rankings and almost getting in the top 25, but losing by 47 points to Arizona on the road, not a good sign there. Then if you want to talk about a team that's on the rise after they suffered their first loss a few weeks ago, Oklahoma, get back on track, beat Iowa State at home. Then they get 2 tough road games this week. TCU is no joke, tough place to play. And then going on the road to Kansas. If you can beat Kansas, you're going to be a top 5 team next week. 5 through 1. The only thing changing here, Tennessee entering the top 5 Tennessee staying at 5. That should be 5, so my second mistake should be at 5. But after that, all of these teams will remain in the same spot after all of them found ways to win this week. The closest one, Kansas, winning by 2 points over TCU, scraping by, getting a win, and they stay at 3. Purdue, they kind of gave away a few leads here in both of these games. It was a lot bigger, up by 10 or more in the second half, late in the second half, but they let teams get back into it. But they found a way to close it out and still be on top there in 14-1. And then Houston, in my opinion, best team in basketball. They're the only undefeated team left. And I've had them at 1 now for 3 or 4 straight weeks because this team is just dismantling teams. Kelvin Sampson, as usual, playing great defense and scoring the rock very quickly. Now they go on the road in their first Big 12 road games. Iowa State, TCU should be good games for them. And then you have UConn, who really didn't have to struggle this week in Big East play. DePaul, easy game for them. And then Butler. Butler looks like a team that could shock a few teams here in conference play just because they are going to play teams hard to the last whistle. But UConn found a way to win that game. And then Tennessee dismantling Ole Miss, like I said earlier. That keeps them at 5. Now they go on the road to have 2 SEC road games. But that's going to be it for this week's video. Make sure you guys check back next week to see if your favorite team made the rankings or if they're moving up. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.